Welcome back to The Shepherd's Pie, a slice of hope to raise faithful kids. I'm Tony Kolenc, a homeschooling columnist, father of five, law professor, and the author of the Harwood Mysteries medieval series for teens. By the way, with Lent just around the corner, take a look at getting the series for that teen in your life. Book 2, The Haunted Cathedral, actually deals with Lenten issues and actually takes place during the 40 days of Lent, even though it's in medieval England. Today, we will be speaking with Leslea Wahl, one of the founders of the popular teen book website, CatholicTeenBooks.com. My guest today is Leslea Wahl, one of the founders of CatholicTeenBooks.com. She is an award-winning author of adventurous teen mysteries, including The Extreme Blind Side and The Perfect Blind Side, as well as her All for One trilogy, which released in 2022, and also a beautiful kids' picture book for military families called To Serve and Protect. She lives in Colorado with her husband. Leslea, it's great to have you back on The Shepherd's Pie.
Thanks for having me on. It's always so fun to chat with you.
So we are here today, not just to talk about Catholic Teen Books, but to talk about the new title that's going to be coming out, an anthology of authors coming out just in time for Lent. And I definitely want us to spend a bunch of the show talking about that. But first, I was really hoping you could spend a few minutes telling us about some of your writing and especially some of your new releases, since we're not going to get a chance to hear about them again later.
Thank you so much. Most of my books are for teens and adventurous mysteries. Those are my favorite genres. So I like to write mysteries as well. I have one that was re-released with a new title earlier this fall, Into the Spotlight. And it is the first in a trilogy. And the second one will be coming out in June. So that's really fun. The second one's called Charting the Course and is set on a cruise ship. But that main character actually is the main character in my story in this anthology. So we can chat about that later. Yeah, I have a short story collection too that you mentioned. Thank you so much. All for One. They combine the characters from my Blindside series and Into the Spotlight. These are my favorite characters and they're related in a way. And so I have great fun with them and having them in all these different unique situations. And then, the picture book was a brand new thing I did. I hadn't done a picture book before, and that was such a joy. So I don't know, it's just go where the Holy Spirit's leading me, I guess.
That's great. Now, as a military guy, and I also, by the way, run a veterans law clinic at Ave Maria School of Law down in Naples. But as a military guy, I love the fact that you did this picture book really for military families. Can you just tell us a little bit more about what's in the picture book?
So I was really inspired by my dog, my golden doodle, Sienna. She thinks she's brave, but she's not really so brave. Just certain things she would do kind of reminded me of different phrases that you hear in the military or through police work. So I kind of combined them with her trying to protect this family of hers. And it has a sweet little theme at the end that, the father has been away and she's the one protecting the family and keeping them all safe. Kids love animals, especially dogs, and that's what our dogs like to do, whether they are brave or just pretend to be brave. They do want to keep us all safe and sound. And so I thought it was a neat way to combine that. And it's a good discussion for families too, whether they're military or not, about all the ways we can serve each other.
Wow. Yeah. And you are such a prolific author and now spreading out into other genres like the children's picture book, but you have so many titles out there. I was looking at you on Amazon, just going, wow, you have more out there than I even realized. But you're not the only author in our group who obviously has a bunch of books. So let's pivot to CatholicTeenBooks.com, which I plug that website frequently on this show because it isn't known well enough. And it's such a wonderful source for parents of not just Catholic, but Christian teens to find some great books for middle school and high school students. So you, as one of the founders, can you tell us a little bit about, how you founded this, why you founded it, and is it just for Catholics?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite subjects. It's interesting because when I became an author, one, I didn't really even realize there were others who were writing the same kind of fiction as I was. And as I became aware of that, I got to know some of them through a Facebook site. One of the authors, Susan Peak, and I decided to get together and go to a little town in Kansas to present to a homeschooling group about all kinds of great Catholic fiction for teens that we knew about. And one of the parents there said, "Oh, this is great, but I really wish there was one place we could go to find all these books." And so that's where the idea started. And we came back and asked other ones. And since then, we've grown. I think there's 16 of us now. And it's just a great resource for families to find faith-based books. Wonderful, exciting stories, interesting stories, but that families can know that they can trust because they all have a faith. The website, we keep improving all the time. There's content guidelines on there so you can really find exactly what you want, because we have books from perfect for older elementary kids all the way through college age. We have the content guidelines. You can search by age appropriateness or genre. We just have such a wide variety, and it's just really exciting to all work together and kind of help promote each other's books. Because when somebody finds one of our books, they'll be interested in finding others, and it's really for just to help families find these good things, because it is getting so hard, as you know, as a parent, to find appropriate books for teens, and to have ones that will also help them kind of grow in their faith is really special.
That was one of the reasons I started writing, is because I also was saying, there's not enough good books out there that I'd want to give my kids to read, especially high quality books that have good Christian or at least, ethical themes in them. And then I came across Catholic teen books and was like, whoa, wait a minute. There's a lot of authors out there. So could you tell us a little bit more about some of the improvements that you mentioned? One of the things I know we just started this year, right, was actually selling books on the website.
Yeah, we're always trying to, like I said, improve and just help families. So we have a blog now. So twice a month, actually, there's articles from the different authors giving helpful suggestions or just interesting stories and so forth. We have a newsletter. You could buy book packs. So several books are combined in a theme, which works really great for like schools if they want to get a sampling of books. We have a few book clubs in a box that a few authors are able to provide. So we keep trying to think of new ways to help people and to reach people. One of my favorite things is that our newsletter, it comes right into your inbox, but each month we have a giveaway. And so whoever the author that we're featuring that month will give a book away. You just kind of have to go answer a question, and then you're in a giveaway and your name is drawn. So it was just so many fun ways that we are trying to help people. And if anyone has other ideas, we're always willing to research things and try to help even more, because it is just such a great resource. And like you said, it's getting the word out there to people seems to be so difficult. So just, one person at a time. Whenever I go to places, I was recently in a show in Dallas, and it's so fun when families first find out about it and they're so excited, and they take one of our catalogs and they see all the different books there. Just, it's wonderful. And as we keep growing, and I just hope that it continues.
Absolutely. Now, one of the novelties you guys started is this anthology. And that's obviously one of the main reasons we're here today, is to talk about the latest anthology. But maybe give us a little background. How did these anthologies get started? Maybe tell us a little bit about some of the prior anthologies.
A few of the members just thought it would be really fun to write a short story collection and let different authors participate. So we started with several years ago, and Secrets, Visible and Invisible was our first one. I think there was maybe 7 authors in that one, and we all wrote a short story, and they just had something to do with some kind of secret was the theme on that one. And since then, we've just had so much fun working together and doing these that we've added a few more. We have Gifts, Visible and Invisible. They're all Christmas themed, Advent themed, which is a really fun way. Everyone always loves those Christmas stories. The recent one before was Treasures, which I thought that was a really neat one because it's a little different. It was kind of a St. Patrick theme, but it doesn't have to be obviously read at that time, but there was a relic from St. Patrick that passed on. So we each chose a different genre to write about, and this relic gets passed down through the generations. So that was really fun. And I love the anthologies because it gives people a little taste of different authors' styles and so forth. And so, yeah, our newest one, which will be coming out for Lent here, is Ashes, Visible and Invisible.
All right, so we've got these previous anthologies. Let's talk about Ashes then. Why the name Ashes? What's the theme of this anthology?
Yeah, we really had a lot of names we were throwing out, but for a while now, several people really thought it'd be neat to do a Lenten anthology. Lent is such an important time in the church as we're preparing for Easter and focusing on our faith and all that the sacrifices that Jesus made. But especially for teens, it didn't seem like there was much out there for them to kind of focus on and to grow in their faith. And so this idea for the Lenten anthology had been out there, but we just weren't quite sure how to have it come about. So there was a few themes out there, but Ashes was the one that kind of stuck. It starts on Ash Wednesday, kind of title too, that we thought, kind of garner some interest and so forth. Everyone could choose their own story and write about different characters, whatever it was, but had to do some kind of theme with Lent. And we kind of let that up to everybody. But it's always unique and amazing how the Holy Spirit must be working, because the stories all kind of work really well together. And the themes of like sacrifice and so forth come in through these stories.
Let's turn to the actual anthology now. So we have 10 short stories, all sort of Lenten themed, but they're not connected to each other, right? None of these stories are, unlike the St. Patrick one, we don't really have a connection between the stories. So yours is the first one that kicks us off. Finishing the Journey is the name of your short story. So since you started us off in the anthology, why don't you tell us a little bit about your short story?
I'm excited to share this story. So first of all, when the thought of doing this story, I knew immediately which character I wanted to use. And as I said earlier, it's the character that will be in my new full-length novel in June, and her name is Liz. Now, the reason I wanted to use this character is, let me step back a minute, but I am actually a convert to Catholicism. It was about 20 years ago. But ever since then, whenever the new RCIA members come up and they're introduced in church, but every once in a while, there's a teenager in the group. And I'm always struck by how amazing that is and what strength that would take in someone's character to actually want to go through that whole process and make it a public, in front of everybody. And so this character, Liz, is introduced to the Catholic faith through a friend. And so she is becoming a Catholic. And in my story, she is getting a little cold feet as it's getting closer. She's wondering if this is the right decision to be made or not. Now, I had this story in mind for a long time, but as we were writing the stories, I was going through a personal difficulty. My father was very sick and was nearing the end of his life. And so I just didn't really have any creativity in me. So I kind of wrote something, but it wasn't very good, I'll admit. And I shared it with a few of the authors. And it was actually Corinna Turner who said, well, maybe you can use the pain you're going through in this story somehow. And that sparked an idea. And so my character, Liz, actually comes across an older gentleman in the story who is my father. So it was super neat to be able to make him a character in the book. He was one of the greatest advocates of my work and was always so proud. So it was really special to make him part of this story. And I was actually able to read him the story right before he passed. So this story, I have a feeling, will always have a very special place in my heart.
Wow, that's beautiful. And as a father of 4 daughters and 1 son, I can just imagine how proud he felt hearing his daughter read him that story. It makes me want to choke up just thinking about it. So, all right, so that's Finishing the Journey. Now, the other authors who were involved in this anthology, we've got obviously you and me. We've got Cynthia Toney, Marie Kaiser, Carolyn Asphalt, Amanda Lauer, Ellen Gable, and Corinna Turner. And then we've got T.M. Gowett and finally Teresa Linden. So this is like an all-stars of Catholic teen books. Can you tell our listeners, if they're not really familiar with some of these authors? Unfortunately, I wish we had time to talk about every single story in here, but we have some limits here. But tell us maybe about some of these authors that I know you know personally and are familiar with their writing.
Yeah, this is a great lineup. 10 of us were able to work on this, and which is the most we've ever had. And another amazing great thing about these anthologies is that they all are in different time periods, and the writers get to showcase what they do the best. So for instance, Marie Kaiser, she's our newest member, but she writes like a futuristic world, and so she's able to bring that one of those characters into her story, which is called Take Up Your Cross. Teresa Linden, she is amazing. She writes all kinds of things from contemporary to dystopian, but her story in this one is actually a historic fiction. And Corinna Turner, she is bringing her dinosaur world to this story too. And no one's ever read her Jurassic series, Unsparked. It's such a creative way. So there's so much in here, from present day to future, to historic, and so forth. I think it's just a really great mix of things. And your story has one of the characters from your book, right?
Yeah, actually, what I've been doing in my Harwood Mysteries series, my main female character in books 1, 2, and 3 is Lucy. And I really wanted to give Lucy more of a spotlight and more backstory. And so I've actually been writing a series of Lucy short stories. So I had Lucy and the Deadly Rule, which was a standalone, that kind of her origin story. Then I had Lucy and the Hidden Clover, which was what I used for treasures, visible and invisible. So this third one is Lucy and the Forsaken Path. And again, this is in medieval England, and she encounters a leper. And essentially, there's a lot going on in the story, but it's really the story of her encountering this man who has leprosy and is in a leper community. So it also shows us historically how lepers were kind of treated in the Middle Ages. She really helps him come to terms with a family issue he has. Let's hit on a few of our other authors. We have Cynthia Toney. Cynthia's been part of the group for a long time. Maybe talk to her for a moment.
Yeah, she writes some really amazing stories. She has a whole series, a contemporary series about a character named Wendy, and she follows her through middle school and into high school. There's a few little mysteries, and she also, Cynthia brings in some really unique characters for Wendy to interact with. She has an elderly neighbor who with Alzheimer's that she deals with. There's a boy she meets who is deaf, and so she's learning sign language. So I love how Cynthia brings in all these kind of unique things that really make teens think about others and how to treat others and so forth. And she also has a historic fiction, The Other Side of Freedom, that is one for younger teens. So that one's a great one as well.
Great. And then you mentioned Marie's book, which is in like that science fiction realm. Really interesting future that she paints, where essentially Catholics are the enemy of the universe, it seems. So it kind of almost has a Star Wars feel to it there. But Carolyn Asphalt, tell us a little bit about her.
Carolyn, actually, she only has one Catholic teen book, because the most of her writing is for older, like in the 20s, adults. She writes beautiful Christian romances, but she was able to bring her talents to the Catholic teen books. So we're always so excited. But she has a couple of these short stories that she has in our anthologies, and I keep hoping that she's going to use one of them and write a full-length novel on some of them, because she is such a talented author, and she is so busy. She's the president now of the Catholic Writers Guild, so I don't know how she does quite everything that she does.
Yeah, I know. She's so amazing. I wonder the same thing myself. Amanda Lauer, who I've actually had on the show before, she's talked about her Heaven Intended series that is the Civil War series she's written. But I understand her short story in this anthology is actually not related to that series, huh?
Yeah, so I believe it is connected to another series or a story that she's working on. It kind of has a time travel theme to it, but it's a modern day female who is transported back to, I believe it's Scotland. So it's very excited about the book. I've read that one, and it's a good one. So she's again I love her historic fiction. She has a great romance and fun characters that she always ties together and in such unique ways. Ellen Gable also, another of the writers, also writes a lot of historic fiction. I haven't read this book, that the story that's in this one, but I'm excited to read it because she is one of my favorite authors as well.
Yes, and she also a former president of the Catholic Writers Guild too, and started Full Quiver Publishing to boot, and has been very active with that. So we've talked about Corinna, we've talked about mine, but there's two other authors on here I want to make sure that we talk about here: T.M. Gowett and Teresa Linden. Tell us a little bit about some of your colleagues there.
Yeah, T.M. Gowett. I first was introduced to her years ago, and we kind of had a similar story. So my blind side has kind of a famous character, and her Faith and Kung Fu series has a famous character. So we kind of had this similar stories we kind of felt. But her Faith and Kung Fu series follows these characters. It's a contemporary series, and they meet in high school, and her main character Gabriel is a very devout Catholic, and Hollywood starlet has to come and stay with his family. Of course, they don't see eye to eye on many things, but over the 4 books in the series, the characters really grow, and it's really a great series. I enjoy that one a lot. But she's written some more adult novels, and she has a great one for middle grade, Destiny of Sunshine Ranch, which is about a boy in foster care. So yeah, I'm amazed with all her talent too. And she's actually helped my editor and putting the books together for my All for One series. So I really appreciate her skills there. And Teresa Linden, now there's another one who can write seemingly everything. She has chapter books for children, the Armor of God series, which is just phenomenal. She has a contemporary West Brothers series that is so good. Especially for older teen boys, that series I can't recommend enough. Then she has a dystopian series for teens, and she has some adult novels that, and one, in fact, Tortured Souls, kind of very suspenseful story, and so forth, kind of a purgatory themes and so forth. So she is amazing to me how she just writes the whole genre, the whole scale there for everyone in the whole family.
Yeah, I just got done listening to an audiobook of one of her West Boy series, Battle for His Soul. It's a few years old now, but I thought the audiobook was very, very well done. And just the story was compelling on that West series that she has out there. All right, so we're starting to run low on time, and I think there's one or two other things we really want to hit on the Ashes. One is, so what age range would you recommend if somebody wants to buy this for their teen for Lent? What age range are we talking about?
Well, we've really tried to make all the anthologies for all ages. So that way families can read them together, enjoy them. So I'd say middle school on up. And like I say, it gives you a great taste of the different authors. And then all our books are listed. So, if you have a particular one that you kind of enjoy, you can, look up those authors and their other stories and what age range they have the books in.
Yeah, and I guess I should attest to that because I know some of our books are written for older teens, and some of them even address some touchy, issues, social justice issues, or maybe abortion and things like that. But I know when we've put this anthology together, we've been told we need to definitely stay out of some of those lanes. So I guess if any parents have read some of these authors' other books, they might feel like, oh, they're a little bit older. But no, this one actually, we tried to keep in that age range so it would work for both middle schoolers or teens. What about feedback? Have we been getting any feedback on folks who have read Ashes up to this point?
Yeah, we've had a number of advanced reviewers, and they've all been really supportive and enjoyed it. Again, we keep hearing often when we put these anthologies out how happy people are that they have these kinds of things, and especially this Lent one, but all of the anthologies, they're just such a good one, like to read together maybe as a family or even as a youth group. You could do like a book club type of thing, and it kind of helps you think about your journey, hopefully, as Lent's going on, because the characters all learn something along the way and make them think of Lent in a certain way. And hopefully this will happen for the readers too, that they can deepen their Lenten journey this year.
That brings us almost to the end, but I always like to kind of ask a wrap-up question of my guests. And a lot of our listeners are parents or youth leaders, teachers. Do you have any advice, when, they see, okay, we've got this author who's written books for teens for Lent. How do we get our youth, more engaged with a season of the church such as Lent, the one that's so important, as you mentioned?
Unfortunately, sometimes seems like Lent is, that's the time I have to give something up, but we want it to be a much deeper time. And that's why we created these stories. But even, you don't have to get this book, but maybe, encourage them to read, some other kind of books, Christian books, or journal or so forth, or maybe at dinner time, have some conversations about this time of year and what it all means and what Jesus really did for us and the sacrifices we might have in our lives and so forth. Because it is one of those, it's a long time. And sometimes I think for young people, especially, the actual idea of what we're supposed to be doing kind of gets lost in the shuffle. So if we can keep trying to bring it back as a family, and maybe read something or watch some shows together or something, so that you can have these more faithful discussions.
So if folks are jazzed up to get this for some teen in their life, just in time for Lent or during Lent, could you tell us where they should go to get Ashes? And also tell us where they can go, where they can find more information about you and your other writings.
Great. All the information on Ashes will be on our website, catholicteenbooks.com. And the book can be found on Amazon and, Barnes and Nobles and other places where you buy your online books. Yeah, I have my own website, LeslieWahl.com, where I have extra information on all the books, but they all also are on Catholic Teen Books. On our website, it is interesting because some of us have books that are for adults or for children, so they're not all on the teen website. But if you click on our name on our website, it goes to us, and you can then click to our websites there. I'd really encourage readers to go over to Catholic Teen Books and kind of browse around and see all the things that are on there, because there's so much to offer. And we really hope everyone has a great time reading Ashes this Lent season.
That's wonderful. And thank you, Leslea, for coming back on the show. You're always such a great voice for Catholic Teen Books group, and you're so giving of your own time when I know you have your own projects going on, and you're always giving to the whole group. And I can tell you, I know I really appreciate that, and I'm sure everybody else does. Thank you for being on the show today.
Always a pleasure. It's so fun to always chat with you. Thank you.
Unfortunately, that is all the time we have for the show today. We've been speaking with Leslea Wahl about the new anthology, just in time for Lent, Ashes, from CatholicTeenBooks.com. Again, this is Antony Kolenc. If you have a question for me or a topic you want me to cover on the show, please drop me a line on my website at AntonyKolenc.com. And you can also find more information on my Harwood Mysteries historical fiction series there. Until next time, may God bless you and your families as we work together to raise faithful kids.